Good afternoon, my name is Ruben Dario Lugo Alvarez and this is my final research proposal, which is to determine the aspects that affect the motivation of students of 11th grade of the school San Juan Bosco of the municipality of Arboledas. As part of the introduction, I can say that English is currently considered the most important language in the world, either for those who speak it as a first language or those who speak it as a second language after the mother tongue. It could be said that the English language is present in almost everyone and everywhere and is considered the main element of communication between very diverse cultures that share few or no traits in common. This is why Colombian students live in a world that requires them to communicate in English every day, to interact with citizens of other countries, and to access knowledge in this language. Chapter 1. Statement of the problem. The importance of the English language in the world is no longer discussed, but accepted. In Colombia, at all levels of society, the importance of mastering a second language, especially English, is recognized, which is why, in order to enrich the quality of bilingualism in Colombia, the Ministry of National Education has promoted a series of initiatives aimed at ratifying the consolidation of English in the national territory as a second language, starting in 2003 with the book Bilingualism in Colombia, where it is clear that one of the most important expressions of human capital is bilingualism, which is why the mastery of a foreign language is becoming increasingly important. The Ministry of National Education, MEN, has implemented policies focused on the development of English as a second language, although there are several competing programs. Research question. What are the aspects that affect the motivation of students of 11th grade of the school San Juan Bosco of the municipality of Arboledas in Norte Santander, who are interested in improving their level of English before they start the university? Research objectives. There's a main general objective, which is to determine the aspects that affect the motivation of students of 11th grade of the school San Juan Bosco of the municipality of Arboledas in Norte Santander in improving their level of English before they start the university. And there are also some specific objectives that we can mention here to describe the policies of the Colombian Learn and Colombia bilingual programs in the country, among others. In this chapter 1, we continue with the justification. The purpose of this research work is to determine what factors motivate the students of the 11th grade of the Colegio San Juan Bosco in the municipality of Arboledas to improve their level of English before entering the university, taking as a starting point the importance that has taken the learning of a foreign language like English in the context not only global but local. As part of the chapter 2, we have the theoretical background. It is important to contextualize the problem that inspired the research project. Therefore, the factors, according to the theorists and studies, that intervene in the learning of a second language must be understood. And in 1971, Savinon, in 1991, Himes proposed the term communicative competence to represent the use of language in the social context, combining language, communication, and culture, similar to what Halliday and Firth did in Great Britain. A year later, in a research project, Savinon used the term to characterize the ability of a second language students to interact with others to create meanings. She emphasized that this was very different from the ability to formulate correct sentences grammatically and decontextualized exercises. The fact of using communicative tasks and of motivating the students not to be governed by the memorized linguistic patterns and to take risks to communicate in them was a very significant advance in the teaching of the second language, according to Savinon in 1991. As I continue in this chapter 2, theoretical background, although it is true that in the last decades there have been significant advances in the teaching of second languages, in reality they have not been so radical as to think that with them the problem of learning another language without major difficulties has been definitely solved. Perhaps the most relevant of these changes hasn't been the revolution that the internet represents, but the change of attitude towards what is considered should be the object of priority attention. That is, the student from the what and the how we have passed to whom we teach what has come to highlight something as evident as in learning and everything related to forms and style of learning. Student-centered teaching, communicative approach, task-based teaching, process versus product, affectivity in learning, autonomy of learning, output as input, multiple intelligences among. Now we are in chapter 3. In this chapter 3 we speak about research paradigm. The term paradigm needs clarification. Willis 2007 explains that a paradigm is thus a comprehensive belief system, world view, or framework that guides research and practice in a field, page 8, for educational researchers. There are several major paradigms that govern their inquiries into the policies and practices of education. Each paradigm carries related theories of teaching and learning, or pedagogy, curriculum and assessment, professional development, etc. And then we have the interpretive paradigm, also called qualitative, phenomenological, naturalistic, humanistic, or ethnographic paradigm. This humanistic paradigm arrived in educational research during the late 1970s, influenced by anthropology, which aims to understand other cultures from the inside, among other things we can say about this. As we continue with this chapter 3, we can speak about the interpretive paradigm, also called qualitative, phenomenological, naturalistic, humanistic, or ethnographic paradigm. This humanistic paradigm arrived in educational research during the late 1970s and influenced by anthropology, which aims to understand other cultures, like we mentioned before. Now in chapter 3, as we continue, we can speak about the research approach. The methodology allows knowing the activities and strategies allowed by the researcher to validate the starting hypothesis. This research is based on ethnographic qualitative research, that is, a descriptive research that aims to analyze, understand a social phenomenon within an educational context. Qualitative research is understood as a social investigation, which studies phenomena that are not explained through numbers and indices, but are analyzed as complex systems interrelated from the human point of view, which uses the description of the facts in the generation of knowledge and that allows to understand the phenomena of the world. Well, in this chapter 3, we can continue talking about the type of study. Considering the depth of the analysis, qualitative studies can be classified into two categories: descriptive studies, ethnographic designs, phenomenological designs, biographical or narrative designs, action research designs, documentary designs, and interpretative studies, grounded theory, analytical induction, etc. Sampierre defines the descriptive scope studies as those that seek to specify the properties, characteristics, and profiles of people, groups, communities, and any other phenomenon that is subject to analysis. That is, they only intend to measure or collect information independently or jointly on the variables to which they refer. The population. The municipality of Arboledas is located in the North Department of Santander. Its population is of 11,692 inhabitants. A large part of the municipality, more than 11,000 hectares, is part of the Páramo de Santurbán, a water source of Santander and Norte Santander. Its economic activity is agriculture and its main product is coffee. Cattle breeding, milk production, coal mines, and limestone are other products that stand out. There is located San Juan Bosco Educational Institution, which is recognized for its academic excellence. This institution teaches classes from transition to 11th grade of secondary education. It was precisely with the students of 11th grade of the current year that it was decided to work on this research project. The group consists of 25 students, 15 girls and 10 boys, whose ages range between 17 and 18 years old, mostly strata of 1 and 2. They see young people and adults with leadership, creativity, high sense of belonging to their institution, and adequate levels of self-confidence. Despite being a little away from the big cities, are eager to continue their student life with time at the university level, and it was precisely that desire that generated the current investigation. Now it's time to talk about the instruments. The techniques are part of the methodological domain of a qualitative procedure being based of the field work. According to Mann and Stewart in 2000, page 65, the main techniques for collecting qualitative data are interviewing, observation, and analysis of documents, with the interview being the most applied. In the words of Gotts and Lecomte in 1998, participant observation refers to a practice that consists in living among the people and one studies, getting to know them, to know their language and their ways of life through an intrusive and continuous interaction with them in daily life. This involves a series of activities during the time devoted to observe the subjects, objects of observation in their quality or daily life, and participate in their activities to facilitate a better understanding. Well, thank you so very much, and it's been a great pleasure for me to be part of this investigation, and I really hope it helps other people as well. God bless you, and goodbye.